Hey y'all, the Lady Empath 1111 guys. Welcome to 1111 Divine Lovers, where we are changing how we love ourselves first, and then guys, how we love others. Guys, welcome to the channel. This is going to be a Divine Feminine reading, all right? This is a blackout reading, okay? You will not see the cards. This is a blackout channeled reading or channeled message for the Divine Feminine. All right, as I lay last night in meditation, just thinking, I heard the question, what happens when you actually get what you prayed for? Are you ready, Divine Feminine, right? What happens when you actually get what you prayed for? And are you ready? So that is the topic for our channel message today. And I won't be before you long. I just wanted to come, especially with this being Mother's Day weekend. And of course, happy Mother's Day to all of my Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine. Again, flip and switch is just energy, right? You are females that walk in masculine energy as well, right? So if you are a mother, happy Mother's Day. If you have lost children, my condolences to you, all of that good stuff. But please also be reminded that this reading is timeless, guys. So while, in the physical, we are coming up on Mother's Day weekend, whenever you come across this message, I pray that it brings you insight and clarity, right? So let's get right into it. All right, so what happens when you actually get what you prayed for? Are you ready, Divine Feminine? What I heard Spirit saying is that a lot of times we ask for certain things in life. And what we don't realize is that we actually have what it is that we've asked for. But our limited way of thinking or the way we view the situation is not allowing us to truly see that we have exactly what we asked for. So for example, if someone is asking for peace and now you're sitting around your house and you're like, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. Where is everybody? Right? But you pray for peace and you ask for peace. So now Spirit is blocking anything that will hinder your peace, right? So now you're kind of sitting around thinking, well, I don't have anything to do. I'm bored. I don't have a lot going on right now. But you have to change your perspective because what you have is peace. And that's what you prayed for, right? So sometimes, Divine Feminine, we ask for certain things, and we're going to go through a gambit. We're going to look at how this relates to your career. We're also going to look at how this relates to your love life. But a lot of times we ask for exactly what it is that we want. And the universe absolutely does provide it. But then because of our limited way of thinking, you can't even embrace the gift that you asked for. So let's take that peace example again. If it's a Saturday and you've asked for peace and you have nothing going on, instead of scheduling yourself a massage, walking in nature, reading a book, embracing your creativity through dance, art, music, even readings, whatever your spiritual journey is, right? So instead of sitting on the house on a Saturday saying, I'm bored or I have nothing to do, perhaps that is the peace that you've requested. And what you should be doing has a lot to do with the impartation of your soul. It's time, Divine Feminine, to change our perspective. So let's look further at this in career, right? So you've asked for a certain job or a certain position or even a certain status within your profession, and you receive it. But now you're complaining that you're working long hours or it's a lot of responsibility or you do not have time for your children or you do not have time for other outside activities. Again, you got exactly what it is that you asked for, right? But you have to change your perspective. See, a lot of times Spirit wants us to understand that Source has delivered exactly what you prayed for. You have manifested exactly what it is that you want. But because of your limited way of thinking, you cannot embrace that which you requested. So let's take it back to the peace. I see someone that could have been in a tumultuous marriage, right? And all you wanted was peace. All you wanted was the situation to end or become more peaceful or become more harmonious. And then the person leaves, whoever this person is in the relationship with you, they leave. They move on to somebody else. They go on with their life. And now you're sitting over here mad because he was such and such. But you asked for peace. You got exactly what it is that you asked for. And now you're questioning it, almost damn near praying for it back when you've released it, because you are so focused on what that person is now doing over there with Susie Jane that you can't focus on the peace that has been provided to you because you released that situation. So the question remains, what happens when you actually get what you prayed for, and are you ready for it? Because a lot of times we are not ready for what we've prayed for, because we've been so tunnel vision on what we're praying for that we have not learned to cherish, to take care of, to protect what it is that we've prayed for when we get it. So let's take it to relationships, guys, because that's what we do here on 1111 Divine Lovers, right? So let's take a divine union. You've prayed for this person. You've manifested this person. You've gone through your spiritual awakenings. You focus on yourself. You are doing the healing work. And then your prayer is, I want someone who is loyal. I want someone who is faithful. I want someone who is trustworthy. I want someone who is a protector. I want someone who is a provider. I want someone who loves me unconditionally. I want someone who's emotionally mature. You list everything that you want, and you get it. But when you get it and you're not ready for it, Divine Feminine, it will trigger all of those things that you prayed for. So let's take trust, for example. You pray for someone that you can trust, and now you have someone in your life who you can absolutely trust, but now you are triggered. Maybe this person hasn't contacted you, or maybe, you aren't spending a lot of time with this person, or maybe, you are just going through whatever it is that you're going through in your life that now has you looking at this person sideways like, can I trust you? But we Divine Feminine have to deal with our issues. See, a lot of times we feel like when we get what it is that we pray for, then the healing work stops. But contrary, that's when the healing work truly starts. See, what you've been doing now is healing on an individual soul level. When you become a part or get into or come into a 3D divine union with whatever or whomever this is that you've prayed for, that's when the healing truly begins. Because what we do not realize, Divine Feminine, when we pray for what it is, especially a divine union, and especially if you're praying for your twin flame. Now, it's very different if you're praying for a high vibrational soulmate, which there will still be some growth. There will be some triggering. But if you're praying for your true twin flame, your true divine counterpart, your true soul in this other being, then during that process, that's when the healing begins, right? So that's when you really get to look inside yourself and begin to understand the healing work that you are doing. And you guys know I'm transparent on my channel. I can only tell you what I know, what I live, right? That's the best way to be, right? So you have to realize and understand that the universe is going to provide you exactly what it is that you've asked for. But then those things that within you that are not healed will be brought to the surface. Not for them to be pushed back down, but for them to be healed. But you have to be able to recognize the flaws within yourself in order to promote the healing. So take me for an example. I prayed for someone who's a protector, someone who's very hardworking, guys, because I've been in narcissistic marriage and 2 failed marriages where I was always the primary breadwinner. I was the provider. I had to walk in the masculine energy because I was dealing with unawakened masculine energy. And see, when you're dealing with unawakened masculine energy, you can't walk in feminine energy because there is no balance. We have to remember, guys, there's always a balance between masculine and feminine energy. So if you are a divine feminine, but you're in a relationship with unawakened masculine energy, notice I'm not saying divine masculine because this is not divine masculine. This is unawakened masculine energy that is now causing you to have to walk in your divine masculine energy, even as a female or the feminine, right? So now you're not so much walking in feminine energy. You're not nurturing. You're not caring. You walking in masculine energy because now you have to be the provider, the protector, right? Those are things that you have to do. And then you walk away from those marriages. You heal from that, right? And now you're in union with your true divine counterpart, right? But now everything in you is being triggered because you are now learning how to get out of that masculine energy and truly now embrace and walk in your feminine energy. And while you are absolutely doing that, there are still things within you that you have to let go of. Prime example. I'm someone that has always been heavily involved in the other person's life. I'm doing everything for them. They need me to cook, to clean. They need me to call the doctor, make the doctor's appointment. They need me to do this. They need me to do that. They need me to do all of those things, right? Well, now that I'm in a relationship with my divine counterpart, he don't need me to do any of that stuff. Like he takes care of his own business. But at one point that triggered me because guess what? I didn't feel like I was needed. But that was never my role, right? It is not the role of the divine feminine to have to do all of those things. See, a true leader, a true divine masculine, a true leader is going to be able to take care of business for themselves. And if they need you to support, and see, support is very different from control. Support is very different from taking it over. See, when someone needs you to support them, they will ask you for your support. But if they do not ask you, it's because they are taking care of it as the leader that they are. But see, as a divine feminine, when you are not used to being placed in those situations with that type of person, it's triggering because you feel like that person doesn't need you. I don't tell you what I heard, right? I tell you what I know, what I've experienced, because this is the process that I've learned. And I'm not going to say learning because now I've learned this within my own divine union, is that who I have is a true leader. So my feelings of uncertainty or my feelings of not belonging was an issue that I had to deal with. Because it comes from a codependent dynamic of other relationships that we divine feminine have been in. So a lot of times we have to change our perspective of what's truly going on because now you are in a healthy dynamic. And see, divine feminine, a lot of you come to me for readings and you're actually in healthy dynamic relationships, right? I'm just refuse to believe that everyone who follows me is in some type of unhealthy relationship. I just don't believe that. I believe that we as a divine feminine are now coming into union in a healthy or healthier dynamic. But we have to change our perspective of the situations that we are in. And for divine feminines who are still working through this process, then please learn the lesson now as I am teaching it so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that some of us have already made who are in divine unions already. See, we are telling you what we know, what we have experienced, not what we have heard. So when you receive what it is that you've prayed for, you have to then begin to examine yourself. And see, self-awareness and self-examination takes maturity. So you have to reach a level of maturity within yourself to be able to look at yourself and check yourself. Sometimes you have to put yourself in check, divine feminine, and go, why did I say that? Why am I feeling this way? This person has not displayed any type of toxic behavior. They've not displayed any type of codependent behavior. But we as a divine feminine get so used to those toxic, codependent types of relationship that when we have truth, honesty right in front of us, you doubt what it is that you have because you're used to not receiving what it is that you truly want and desire. And when you do receive it, you question it because now, is this real? Is this reality? So what happens when you actually get what you prayed for? Divine Feminine, are you ready? And even if you are not, or you're realizing that maybe you were not ready, then Source, Spirit, the universe is giving you that nudge in the right direction to become ready. There is a Divine Feminine who you have exactly what it is that you've prayed for, but you have to change your perspective of how you see things right now. See, there's still this fear of shame for someone. The number 19 could be significant. Someone is still sitting in this shame mentality because you had to separate yourself from situations that were not for your highest and greatest good, but what you are not understanding is that you got exactly what it is that you prayed for. See, a lot of times when we have to go through divorce, especially if you're someone who grew up in tradition or religion or church, right? And you go through divorces, it's like you almost shame that you could not make something work that was never meant to work because that was never your person. There is no shame in realizing that you've made mistakes and that you have not always handled situations the best. But what you do have to realize that you can always change the direction. Don't sit in the energy of self-deceit. Don't be misguided. You have to become more flexible in your way of thinking. But that comes with you letting go of ego, right? And letting go of pride. And see, a lot of times shame will keep us in bondage. But a lot of that has to do with self-deception of how you have deceived yourself and how you have not made decisions that truly honor who you are. So when you get exactly what it is that you prayed for, and even if you find that maybe you weren't quite ready, the healing process is still taking place. And as long as you continue to learn, be open to see your flaws. I had to realize that I have controlled the dynamic of many of my relationships. And my true divine counterpart at this time says, I just need support. You don't have to control the situation. You don't have to do the situation, but I will let you know when I need your support. And when that person reaches out to you for that support, then be ready to do that. Just support. See, my person came to me yesterday and asked me a question. I'm not going to go into detail, but he asked a question and I formed a response 4 times in my phone through text messages. I deleted every one of them because my answer was my view of the situation and my attempt to control the narrative of the situation. And for some reason, I'm not going to say some reason, it was the spirit that would not let me hit send. And I kept forgetting what I was trying to say, right? I'm like, oh, that's not what I meant to say, delete. I was trying to say this. Oh, that's not what I meant to say, delete. But what I realized is after about an hour, he sent me the information of what it is that he wanted and then asked for me for support. Here, this is what I need, this, and that. Now, can you support this? Can you do this for me in support of what I need you to do? My only response was, yes, I can. I'll look into it tomorrow. See, had I sent the text message in my attempt to give him my view of the situation or control the situation, it would not have allowed me to see his growth, or it would not allow me to see his leadership capabilities, because he is a leader. And he is quite capable of leading. But see, we divine feminine, sometimes when someone asks us a question, what we're giving them is our view. And then we're going to tell them how they need to handle the situation. But if you are dealing with a true divine masculine, this person is going to ask you your opinion, or they're going to ask you to do something for them, not your opinion. Because if someone asks you for your opinion, then that is they are soliciting your opinion, right? But if someone is asking you to do something for them, they're not asking your opinion of the situation. They're asking you to support them in the situation. That is what we have to learn, divine feminine, as we walk in exactly what it is that we've received. And even taking this into a career perspective. If your boss comes to you and say, hey, I need you to do this. Or if your executives, because unless you own the company, then there is someone you support to. And even if you own the company, there are still clients or someone that you have to support, right? So when someone comes to you for that support, they're not asking for your opinion. They're not asking for you to control the situation. They're asking you to support them through the situation. See, someone has to open up and become naked. The number 30 could be significant. And when I say naked, it's that vulnerability of just walking in your divine feminine energy. You don't have to wear the pants. You don't have to control the situation. You don't have to have all the answers. You can actually have a whole lot of questions and go to your divine masculine with those questions, or go to, people with those questions. It's okay to be open. It's okay if you are unclear on something. Ask the questions that you want the answers to. See, a lot of times, divine feminine, we have a question, but then we also form the answer to that question in our head. And when we do that, we are not giving the other person the opportunity to answer the question, right? So now you've asked the question to yourself. You've answered the question for yourself. Now you're mad at the answer that you've gotten, but you've gotten the answer from yourself, and you never addressed the question with the other person. There are questions, divine feminine, that you have about situations. Instead of going to the person to ask the question and then being quiet enough to receive the answer, you'll go and ask the question with this perceived answer already in your head. And if you are not mature enough to see past your thoughts and to really receive, because we also have giving and receiving, right? Giving and receiving and naked are the two cards that just came out. Someone has to be open to give of themselves, but then receive what it is that the person is giving back to them. So if you're being naked, you're being vulnerable, right? That means that you're open. But when you're open, you still have to receive. So a lot of times we go into situations in life, again, we have questions, we have uncertainty, but in our minds, we've already formed our answers, our opinions to the situations, not giving the other person even the opportunity, because you never asked the question. I just heard that song. I think it's Joe. I can read your mind. I know what you're thinking. I can read your mind. I know what you're thinking. That song. But no, I can't read your mind, right? Your divine masculine, or people in your lives in general, guys, because it's not just about a relationship. It's how we do relationship with other people in our lives. People cannot read your mind. If you want answers to questions, then you have to ask the question, but then you have to also be open to receive the answer in an open, authentic manner. Not in a defensive manner. See, a lot of times we stay on defense because we feel like we have to protect ourselves, right? When you look at football, the defensive people are the people that are protecting, right? So these defenses that we put up is because we feel like we're protecting ourselves, but what we're doing is not allowing ourselves to truly be authentic, be vulnerable, and heal. So what happens, divine feminine, when you actually get what it is that you prayed for? Are you ready? Yes, you are. You are ready. But you have to make sure that you are open and vulnerable and still ready to learn, still ready to evolve, and understand that you are still in a healing process. You don't have all the answers all the time, right? So you can't be selfish and just feel like you know everything. You have to get out of that. Improve your listening. Let go of the negativity and the stress. See, a lot of times we go into situations with negative mindset. So before you can even have a conversation with someone, you've been so negative in your mind about the situation, you manifest the negative outcome. As a man thinketh, so is he. There is life and death in the power of what it is that we speak and what it is that we say, even if you don't speak it out loud, because you are heavy divine feminine manifestation, heavy manifesteer. So you might not even speak it out loud, but in the back of your mind and your spirit, if you know that you have this negativity there, then you cannot truly manifest a positive outcome when you have a negative outlook on the situation. You have to change the way that you see the situation in order to change the outcome. And see, a lot of times it's our own perceptions that get in the way of the desired outcome because we're negatively perceiving what's going to happen already. So there is someone saying, hey, I want to be in this divine union, but it's never going to happen for me. This person's never going to change. This person isn't doing this. This person isn't doing that. So now you fed all that negative energy into this situation, but yet you still think you're going to have a positive outcome? Yeah, tell me how that works, right? Let me know how that works. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. There is life and death in the power of what we say and what we think. Because you can literally think your way out of a situation. And then you wonder why things are stagnant and not moving forward. Why you continue to experience the negative patterns of your life. You have to detach from that situation. You have to make changes for you. See, the changes that we make are never for another person. The changes that we make are always for us. And as you begin to change some things about yourself, the focus should never be on the other person. The focus should never be on your divine counterpart. The focus should never be on the divine masculine. If you feel like things are not in alignment between you and your person, then look at yourself and say, well, what do I need to change? Because you can never change someone else. And as soon as you remember that, your whole soul will be set free. You have to allow people space and opportunity to change for themselves, but that change will take place when you begin to change. Because there's always a mirroring, guys. I say that a million times when you're talking about this divine union dynamic. As with you, so goes the other. As you begin to change your way of thinking, as you begin to elevate yourself, as you begin to pour yourself into your own creativity and spiritual works, that will absolutely happen with your person as well. But you have to redirect your focus. Someone is being called to big changes at this time, to seize the moments, to be more direct, to be more honest. But even in your honesty and your directness, do not make impulsive or rash decisions. Guys, I had to tell myself that the other day. I was in meditation out there in my pool, and Spirit told me just this clear: stop reacting. Stop reacting. It is okay to respond, but a response usually takes time. If someone sends you a message or communicates with you and you sending them something right back, that was a reaction because you didn't even give it much thought. See, in order to respond to someone, you have to put thought into it. So back to my example, when my person asked me to assist them with something and I was started to typing right away, that was my reaction. And I deleted it, but I kept typing again. Then I deleted it. I put the phone completely down, which then allowed him to communicate more about what it is that he needed and then give me the information to support him through what he needed. When someone sends you a message or someone asks you something and you respond right away, that's a reaction. You haven't even given it time thought. Like you haven't even given the situation thought. You haven't given the question thought, no matter what it is. 5 minutes. And 5 minutes might seem long to some people. So I'll even say 3 to 5 minutes, right? Before you respond. Because anything quicker than that is a reaction. And we're being called out of reactiveness and into response. Because response means that I have to consider what it is that you need or what you said. And then I can offer you support. Reaction means that I'm finna tell you right now. And I'm going to control the situation. Thank you, Spirit. Yeah, because that's what it is. See, when you react, you're telling somebody or giving somebody your opinion, and now you're trying to control the situation. But when you respond, you've given it some thought and some time, and now you're here to offer support. The manifestations of what it is that you desire are happening for you right now. Whatever this is that you have prayed for is taking place right now. The number 9 could be significant, but there's action here. Movement, speed, progress. So if you feel like you do not have what it is that you're praying for, oh, it's coming, and it's coming in quick with this 8 of Wands energy, right? It's coming in and it's coming in quick. So this may be a message for you so that you don't mess up what it is that you're calling in. Learn from what I'm telling you, right? You have to learn, because if you sit in that arrogant behavior, that reckless behavior, that hyperactive behavior, right? Then you're going to chase away what it is that you prayed for. Guard your tongues. Watch your energy. Watch what it is that you say. Offer yourself openly to knowledge, to caring, to healing. Be more understanding. Be a good friend to those around you. Be mature. Be emotionally stable. Those are the things that you have to make sure that you are working on, Divine Feminine, because again, what happens when you actually get what you prayed for? Are you ready for it, Divine Feminine? Let me know in the comments, guys. All right, that's just your message of inspiration for today. I pray that you have a wonderful weekend. If I don't get to post anymore, I think I'll post maybe one more before going into this Mother's Day weekend. But leave in the comments. Let me know that you received this message of encouragement. All right? Love and light as always. The Lady Empath, 1111.